Dealing with collectors, how to get the upper hand. Materials provided by Genesis Financial Management. What you'll learn. Collection practices, what your rights are, what you can do if your rights are violated, how to find out who you owe, how to approach the collection agency, negotiating a debt collection settlement, and also what not to do with collection agencies. How collection agencies work. Debt collectors often work for debt collection agencies, though some operate independently and some are also attorneys. Sometimes these agencies act as middlemen, collecting customers' delinquent debts that are at least 60 days past due, and remitting them to the original creditor. The creditor pays the collector a percentage, typically 25 to 45% of the amount collected. Debt collectors get paid when they recover a delinquent debt. The more they recover, the more they earn. For difficult to collect debts, some collection agencies also negotiate settlements with consumers for less than what the consumer owes. Debt collectors may also refer cases to lawyers who file lawsuits against customers who have refused to pay the collection agency. Agencies that buy debt. When the original creditor has determined that it isn't likely to collect, it'll cut its losses by selling that debt to a debt buyer. Debt buyers pay on average 4 cents for every dollar of debt face value. In other words, a debt buyer may pay $40 to purchase a delinquent account where the balance owed is $1,000. The older the debt, the less it costs, since it is less likely to be collectible. What debt collectors do. Debt collectors use letters and phone calls to contact delinquent borrowers to convince them to repay what they owe. When debt collectors can't reach the debtor with the contact information provided by the original creditor, they look further using computer software and private investigators. They can also conduct searches for a debtor's assets, such as bank and brokerage accounts, to determine a debtor's ability to pay. Collectors may report delinquent debts to credit bureaus to encourage consumers to pay, since delinquent debts can do serious damage to a consumer's credit score. Debt collectors also contact delinquent borrowers who have already had a judgment against them, meaning that the court has ordered them to repay a certain amount to a particular creditor. Even when a creditor wins a judgment, it can be difficult to collect this money. Creditors can hire debt collectors to do this work, which may include placing levies on bank accounts or motor vehicles, garnishing wages, placing a lien on property, or forcing the sale of an asset. How reputable collectors operate. Debt collectors have a bad reputation for harassing consumers. More consumers complain to the Federal Trade Commission about debt collectors than about any other industry, but there are debt collectors who are careful not to violate consumer protection laws. In contacts with debtors, a collector who behaves properly will be fair, respectful, honest, and law-abiding. After you make a written request for verification of a debt you've been contacted about, the collector will suspend collection activities and send you a written notice of the amount owed, the company you owe it to, and how to pay it. If the collector can't verify the debt, the company will stop trying to collect it from you. It will also tell the credit bureaus that the item is disputed or request that it be removed from your credit report. If the collector is working as a middleman for the creditor and doesn't own your debt, it will notify the creditor that it has stopped trying to collect because it couldn't verify the debt. Reputable debt collectors will try to obtain accurate and complete records so they don't pursue people who really don't owe the money. If you tell them that debt was caused by identity theft, they will make a reasonable effort to verify your claim. They also won't try to sue you for debts that are beyond the statute of limitations. They will not try to harass or threaten you or treat you differently because of your race, sex, or other characteristics. They will not publicize any debt you owe or try to deceive you in order to collect a debt, nor will they pretend to be law enforcement agents or threaten you with arrest. They will also not contact you before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m. without your permission to do so. Your rights. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act was designed to outline the legal manner in which a collection agency can contact you in regards to defaulted debt. This act protects the consumers from unlawful abuse. Below are some basic provisions the law includes. The right of the consumers to sue debt collectors individually or in class action lawsuits for violations of the law. Protection against harassment, including excessive phone calls, abusive language, and threats of violence, harm, or arrest. prohibiting disclosure of the existence of debts to others who are not authorized to know about the debts, banning contact with consumers at inconvenient times, such as before 8 a.m. and after 9 p.m., allowing consumers to seek proof that they, in fact, actually owe the money the debt collector wants. Some additional provisions. No calls at work once you request it, no collecting on debt that's larger than what you actually owe. A debt collector must honor a written request for no further contact. The collection agency may not misrepresent who they are in any capacity. What you can do if your rights are violated. The Federal Trade Commission works for consumers to prevent fraudulent, deceptive, and abusive business practices. To file a complaint, you can go on to the ftc.gov website or call 1-877-FTC-HELP. File a complaint with your state's Office of Attorney General. You have the right to sue a collector in either a federal or state court within 1 year of the date the law was violated. If you win your case against the collector, you may recover damages. You may wish to contact an attorney to help you with this process. Consumer protection is different in every state. The Federal Act does not change the laws of any state debt collection practices unless that law conflicts with any part of the Act. If state law conflicts with the Act but provides better protection for you, then the state law applies. An attorney can advise you of your rights. How to find out who you owe. Pull your credit. There are 3 major credit bureaus: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You can pull your credit by going on to www.annualcreditreport.com, www.creditkarma.com, and www.quizzle.com. Once you pull your credit report, make sure to follow up with the collection agency to see if they still have the debt. If they still do, request proof of the debt in writing. How to approach the collection agency. Don't get emotional. It's the number one rule in dealing with creditors. This is a business transaction. Do not get emotional when discussing terms. Make sure the debt is really yours. Ask the creditor to provide you with their address so that you can send them a written request by certified mail to verify that debt. Have a proposal written out before you contact them. Once you verify that the debt is truly yours, come up with a proposal of what you can feasibly afford. When initiating repayment conversations, proceed with a lower proposal than your final offer. They may want to haggle, so start low. Don't allow them to intimidate you. If a creditor verbally abuses you, remind them of your rights under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. This may get them to play fairer. Don't agree to anything that you can't really commit to financially. Get it in writing. If you come to an agreement with the collection agency, make sure to get the agreement in writing to avoid any miscommunication. Call a credit counseling organization. If you're finding it difficult to work with the collection agency, call a credit counseling organization like Genesis Financial Management to see what options you have in resolving that debt. Get an attorney. If you and the debt collector can't reach an agreement and it appears likely that they will take you to court, consider hiring an attorney. While the fees and costs of doing so may be prohibitive, the collection agency is more likely to drop the case in favor of easier targets like debtors without attorney representation. Negotiating a debt collection settlement. A debt collector may agree to let you pay less than the total amount you owe on the debt. Although settling a debt shows up as negative information on your credit report, negotiating a settlement indicates that you took responsibility for paying as much as you could on the debt. Your credit report will show that the debt is settled and not outstanding anymore. Determine what you can afford to pay. Review your budget. Don't offer more than you can afford. When you know how much you can afford, begin the negotiations by offering less. Ask the debt collector to remove all negative information from your credit report related to this settled debt. What not to do when contacting a collection agency. When you negotiate with a debt collector, do not provide bank account numbers or place of employment or references. Do not ignore the collection calls. Be prepared with your proposal before speaking with them. Do not make any payments on anything without getting everything in writing. Do not lose track of the legal status of the debt. Know your statute of limitations. Do not make any payments to the collection agency before verifying the debt. Do not allow the collection agency to get away with harassment. Report them. Summary. The most important thing that you can do to have a successful and productive conversation with the collection agency is to know your rights. Always be prepared with your proposals before speaking with them. Don't agree to anything that you can't realistically afford. Keep your cool. Questions, comments, concerns? If you're being harassed by a creditor or a collection agency or have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to call us at 877-202-9246 or visit us at www.yourgfm.org.